Our guest speaker, Aquatic Informatics, has been acquired by Danaher, and James Reyes is a seasoned expert, vice president, and vice president of revenue, and which is a very cool way to position a water firm. So we want to hear more about that, James, and we're turning it over to you.
Thank you, Mary. Hello, everybody, and great to be here with you today. My name is James Reyes. I'm Vice President with Aquatic Informatics, and really excited at the opportunity to share with you a few things today. Number one, I'm going to tell you a bit about Aquatic Informatics and who we are, what we do, what our vision is as an organization. Second, I'm going to talk a bit about our perspective on how we see organizations approach better decision making and how they turn data into knowledge. And more specifically, I'm going to share with you the 4 milestones that we've observed working with our customers and what they strive for in their efforts to derive knowledge from the data in their pursuit of One Water. So let's jump in. So who is Aquatic Informatics and what do we do? We're a mission-driven software company, and we build software that helps utilities, municipalities, and state organizations improve water data integrity, streamline regulatory compliance, and at the end of the day, strengthen resilience. We work with over 1,000 customers across 60 countries, and we've helped our customers track, analyze, and share hundreds of millions of water data measurements and sample results across multiple test locations. There's a number of other stats on the slide here, but I want to bring your attention to the one that we're most proud of at Aquatic Informatics, and that's on the top right, which is our certified B Corporation. We've been a certified B Corp since 2014, and this certification is put on by a nonprofit organization called B Labs, and they recognize companies that are not only best in the world, but best for the world. And certified B corporations ultimately use the power of business to solve social and environmental problems while meeting the highest standards of performance, public transparency, legal accountability, and ultimately balancing profit and purpose. And this B Corp is important to us because we do really care about our purpose, and this is what it's all about. Simply stated, our purpose is to protect life with timely water information. And we feel so passionate about this, given all the challenges that we face in the world and in our market as it relates to our industry. You know, looking at some of these stats, 2 million deaths and more than 4 billion illnesses every year from water-related diseases or disasters. If you take a look at our hospital beds, half of the world's hospital beds are filled with people suffering from water-related diseases. And, you know, again, water scarcity is one of the largest global risks in the next decade. So big challenges. And, you know, one would think that these water challenges are only impacting developing countries, but the reality is these are hitting close to home. 1.3 trillion gallons of untreated sewage enter the United States waterways every year, sickening nearly 3.5 million people. 32 million cases of waterborne diseases every year in the United States, and up to 75,000 sanitary sewer overflows are happening each year in the United States due to our failing infrastructure. So where do we even begin, and how do we start to address and think about how large these challenges are? You know, the reality is the gap is enormous. Even just to address the failing infrastructure is a $1.7 trillion price tag. And when you start to look at the fundamentals and the economics around that, only a third of that funding will ever come to light. So that said, what's going to be required of all of us in this industry is to utilize data to make smarter decisions that ultimately allow us to do more with less. When you think about, you know, that perspective on data, it really is a a big challenge and a big mess that we're looking to address. The reality is so many data silos are existing within our utilities as it relates to the water data. And what's happening today is because of the price of technology and computing, we're actually collecting more data than we ever have been in the past. In fact, in the last 2 years, we've collected more data than all of history. The challenge is, regardless of the fact that we're collecting all this data, less than 0.5% of that data is ever used. And to bring this research into our industry, there was a survey put out a couple of years ago, and 88% of the utilities out there have not implemented a comprehensive data management system. So these are the challenges that we're faced with, and this is the mess that technology is looking to solve. So, what does this mean, and what is our role and the role of technology in our industry? At the end of the day, our technology addresses water data management challenges across the entire water cycle. As Mary had mentioned earlier, since July, we're extremely excited to be part of the Danaher Water Quality Platform. And ultimately, what this means for us is it allows us to really propel us to a big step forward in our pursuit for our One Water Quality Platform and our mission. So when you think about the value chain of what it's going to take for data-driven and smart decisions that require us to do more with less, what I wanted to illustrate here is this is the world we live in, right? There's multiple layers of what we're faced with to even get to be able to make better decisions. Our physical layer is all of our pipes and all of our networks. The sensing and control are all of the specific sensors, whether it's water quality or turbidity or water level. You then layer that on with telemetry and data collection and data loggers and communication. And furthermore, being able to visualize and display and understand that data. But what Aquatic Informatics and what our software is really focused on is the data fusion and analytics. It's the alerts and notifications that can ultimately help our customers take action on that insight. It's the visualization and reporting of that. It's the data discovery and data analytics, but more importantly, the prediction. So, imagine a world where before problems arise that are really hurting people and damaging the infrastructure and damaging the cities, there's actually analytics that allow you to predict and take action. And this is what we're focused on. This is how we see the One Water approach managing water data. And at the end of the day, to get this interconnectedness, what we've seen in the industry from hundreds of organizations that are doing this successfully is that they followed 4 transformational milestones, which I'll jump into next. So really, when you think about the journey, milestone 1 is really embarking on that data consolidation journey. And this journey comes in the form of not only identifying your data management needs, but selecting a data management platform. And I know what you're all thinking. For those of us that have been involved in any enterprise software project, we know how exciting this is, but we know the amount of effort and how daunting a project like this could be. One of the biggest challenges that we have seen organizations face at this first and critical stage is that not only is the data siloed, but the stakeholders are siloed, right? Whether it's IT, users, procurement, legal, executives, each of these groups have their own fears, their own priorities, their own technology preferences. And breaking down these silos is critical if you want to get to the greater good of what the data consolidation delivers. And what we've found is that successful organizations address these challenges with what I'll refer to as innovative procurement. This approach is foundational to cross-departmental collaboration. And really innovative procurement takes the traditional technology procurement model, which is linear, whether it's the users, the requirements, IT, legal, finance, and actually makes it more circular, where you're bringing in IT, legal, finance, and executive sponsorship at the beginning of the project, not linear. And this is what we've seen successful organizations do. The second milestone is about data analysis, right? So bear with me here. You've gone through procurement, you've worked with legal, you've got IT sign off, your data management platform is in place, data is flowing. And the analogy that I like to tie this to, it's like going on a big adventure and expedition. I'm based here in Vancouver, BC. We have access to a ton of mountains. And the analogy here is you've just done a full day hike to reach the summit, only to realize that the real summit, to get to that, you have to cross a wide, expansive lake. And this analogy is what I use when it comes to data analysis, because at the end of the day, just because you have a data platform in place, it doesn't mean you've achieved anything, right? It doesn't mean that you're getting into what's actually the heart of what's important. And a common mistake that we've often seen is that users favor action at this point. They dive into the data, they start building reports and charts that they see value. But the reality is this only represents one of those areas. It doesn't really set things up for success. And the reason is that organizations get stuck in that data analysis and data paralysis, and instead successful organizations really turn 180 degrees and look up into the organization. They find the big questions that need answering and the challenges being faced and the areas that your organizational goals are, instead of the actual data. So that's really, really critical at this point. Focus on what your organization's looking to answer and address, as opposed to just diving into the data. The third milestone is internal knowledge sharing. So again, the reality here is, now that you have your data management in place and the data is being centralized, the department silos will still remain, whether it's intentional or not, and they will continue to be a roadblock for information flow. The key takeaway at this point is it's critical to not only invest time and energy, but also budget and resources to evaluate and establish the best methods for internal knowledge sharing. So building true business cases helps support the initial technology investment. Really important to note here is that the shift from data to knowledge, you're just halfway through the journey, and it doesn't do the process justice to stop at 2. Let's state milestone 2 like many do. It's really important that you're, as an organization, continuing to invest in that internal knowledge sharing. Okay, so now that the water data and information is flowing throughout the organization, there's consensus on the accuracy and the value of that data that's being shared internally. The fourth and final milestone that organizations look to achieve is the external knowledge sharing. So at this stage, it's common to have concerns around what and how to share the data. What if we make a mistake? What if we aren't sharing anything useful? What if the data that we share will have a negative impact? Perhaps there's an important political election happening in your municipality or in your county. And the approach that we've seen really work here is ultimately to involve and invite your third-party organizations and your stakeholders. Having them invested in the process will remove any doubt and fear, while also bolstering the likelihood of them supporting and promoting your efforts once you've launched that data access. Okay, so in summary, first milestone, take the opportunity of the data consolidation efforts to break down those data silos. Critical first milestone. The second milestone is the data analysis, and take that opportunity to turn that raw data into actionable insights. The third milestone, internal knowledge sharing across the organization, across your government departments and across your international bodies. Continue to invest in that internal knowledge sharing. And finally, external knowledge sharing with the industry, with the public, to educate, inform, and encourage the respect of our most important resource. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, James. That was a very thorough overview and just gives me tremendous hope after sitting in on a session where we were talking about how this could be achieved maybe 5 to 7 years from now. Our infrastructure has such a critical need for attention right now. So thank you for that. I have one question here. Lori, if you could go quickly and then we'll introduce our breakout groups.
Sorry, Mary, I was just in the process of typing it. I need to unmute myself, don't I? No, that's fine. Can you hear me okay?
We can. And
excellent, good. No, I just wanted to challenge James's pyramid, because it suggested that the little purple, the nice high quality little bit at the top where the high value information sat was actually the end of the story. Actually, the pyramid should be the other way up, surely, because we've gathered huge amounts of historic data which needs to be structured. And also, I'm challenging speakers who talk about silos, because I think silos is used in a rather pejorative term. And actually, the reality is that these are high quality data stores that have been built up over many years. And actually what we should be doing is interfacing and building distributed data interfaces, not necessarily expecting to rebuild new warehouses that suffer from the same kind of problems. Your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you for the questions, Laurie, and 100% agree with you on the historical data. You know, I agree. You know, some of the customers we've worked with, we've helped them better manage 150 years worth of data. So again, to me, it's more about it's not just about that raw data. It's more about how are you accessing it and how are you connecting it to get insights. The data in itself, from my perspective, is just data. Is it actually information that's helping you make decisions? So that's my perspective on one. I absolutely agree with you. Historical data is critical on that.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. I could carry on, Mary, but you're interested in moving on, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, we have very important
space for other people.
Yeah. No, always great to have you here, Lori, and
Thank you.
to James' response. And I wanted to know, many of you saw the poll and you weighed in. I just wanted to make sure people were paying attention. It sounds like most of you are not. As we go forward, I didn't ask a more intimate question, so you're.
Are you going to be working up from the shoes to the knees next? Is it?
Right. So very important. Yeah, and I do want to proceed with our background on the different speakers. Just 1 second for our breakouts here. Oops, sorry. Okay, we're going to dig into our discussion groups now, and what each of you has indicated a desire to participate in one of these topics. And as you go into breakouts, after you hear from these experts, the facilitators in each of these groups will invite you all to introduce yourselves around the group so everyone knows who everyone else is. And before we go into the breakout rooms, Shana, if you could wait to do that, to open them up, if you could bring people back. I don't know if they've already gone, but what we want to do is have each of the experts share 30 seconds on that. And James has already shared what he's talking about, the digital transformation and that process. Walter, if you could share what's going to be discussed in the emergency breakout group.
Yes, I am wearing shoes. Oh, I can't see. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So, hey, thanks everybody. Hello. So, Walter Friend and with Waterfleet, and we're going to have a group that's discussing how to implement a really interesting, unique solution, mobile utility solutions for emergency management situations. So look forward to seeing you there. Although if Lori's coming, I better get ready for some tough questions.
Yeah. Good plan. Yes, Walter has been on the ground with the hurricanes, fires, has mobile utilities, which are pretty incredible and game changers. So very happy to have you here with us, Walter. Thank you. And next, we're going to have Wendy Broley, who's led the One Water initiative, the roadmap. Could you give people a sneak preview to that, Wendy?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, One Water, gosh, it means a lot of things to a lot of people. And it's that mindset that all water has value, and it's a concept that brings light to the interconnectedness of water systems and watersheds. The water cycle. What James had been talking about in terms of data, we've got that interconnectedness.
And you think, and again, I speak to startups, I say,
oh, it sounds like there's something else going on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so anyway, through the work that we did with Water Research Foundation on the blueprint for One Water, we define One Water as really an approach that can be common to everybody, and it can help tackle some of the stickiest issues in our industry. And it doesn't really matter whether you sit in an arid region or a wet one. It really can be an approach that's applied to a number of different drivers and issues, regardless of where you sit. So we're going to talk about that approach. We're going to share some examples. I'm eager to hear a little bit from everybody in the group about issues and opportunities that you're all seeing being tackled really through this One Water approach across the country. So
yeah. So good to have you here. You've been a mentor to me, and I think also the One Water, the Water Tower is implementing this, and it's a really nice marriage because the One Water model enables us to innovate better as we see all the different players. So Kristen Vandenheuvel will join you in that and share some ideas for the Water Tower that all of you want to know about. So great. Next, we have Drupal and H2O Connected. Ramzi, if you could briefly share what we're going to be talking about on your technology. Ramzi Bezerda.
And
great. Joining us from Switzerland.
yes, hello everybody from Switzerland. My name is Ramzi, CEO of Drupal, a Swiss-based company founded 2 years ago with the mission to develop a full stack solution for the last mile of the water grid, meaning digitizing any water assets we use every day, which starts from water treatment systems, sanitary ware, and appliances. We have now some customers, and we would like to actually connect with you to present and elaborate partnerships. Yeah, so.
Yep. You can hear more from Ramzi in the breakout group number 4 on
yes.
And he'll be joined by, and he's an award winner in Switzerland, as is Susan Springsteen, leader with the Opportunity Zone. So Susan, maybe you could share what they'll hear about with your toilet leak detection. Leak alerter.
Thank you, Mary. The toilet is the #1 cause of a high water bill and source of water loss in a home or a business. And there are 350 million of them between the United States and Canada. They're all going to leak, run, and overflow at some point. And we have developed this fascinating installs in seconds, multi-patented technology that will wirelessly detect and quantify every type of water loss problem that occurs in a toilet. So it's a great way to conserve water, trillions of gallons a year if we could convince everybody to use it. So we're going to talk about that in the session.
Yeah, I have one on my toilet. I highly recommend it for peace of mind to everyone. And great. And I'll be leading session number 5. I mentioned we are doing a program on with India. I traveled there for water and waste management, and we have Sam Papu and also Frank Avila, who will join me for that session to talk about how we bridge East and West and showcase all of your technologies. So if you want to see a really cool 3D exhibit hall and an opportunity to export or marry your technologies with those overseas, it's a neat opportunity. We'll share more on in group number 5. And group number 6, let's have John share based on your point of view. John Robinson.
So what again do you want me to share?
What you'll be talking about in the investment group.
Oh, sure. So as everybody knows, the California has a water index called the NQH2O index. It's been around since 2008. And it exists to help farmers and municipalities and companies better understand the cost of water per acre foot. That's been around for a couple of years. It's kind of interesting to watch the price of water in California. But what was interesting and what we had a point of view about was the emergence of derivatives contracts on that market, enabling traders to long and short the price of water in California. Interesting, we circled that day, we found that interesting. And it sounds like a nefarious sort of activity with Wall Street trying to hoard water or buy water, and people need water and Wall Street's trying to own it. Nothing of the sort. So our point of view is not that this is a money grabbing opportunity for Wall Street, but rather this is a sophisticated investor at the table now in the form of derivatives traders who need better forecasting tools, especially on the supply side, to understand what the price of water is going to do next, say, June. Is it going to be $400 or $800? So they're asking for better tools, and those tools not only benefit the traders, but they end up benefiting agriculture, urban areas, and mankind. Forecast future precipitation. Now, people have been forecasting the weather for forever, but forecasting
John's group.
I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. You wanted to be short and sweet. Yeah. So just that's what we're going to talk about is technologies that enable better visibility into future precipitation.
Right. Price visibility, hopefully enhancing that value of water, contributing to Wendy's efforts, contributing to Susan's toilet water savings. Everyone's initiatives are sort of tied together here. And so I put in the chat group, you do have a roster of people who should be attending your groups. Maybe people couldn't log in, but you each should have your facilitators leading, and that's Tamara Khan, who will lead the investor group. Rabenik will lead the group on emergency water. And then we have Shannon Spurlock leading the group on efficient water, and Kristen, I mentioned, leading the One Water, and then Barry Hofer will lead the investment with Elise Zoli. And then finally, I'll be in wastewater management. So if you could open up the groups, actually, if anyone has any questions right now, do chime in, let us know.
Mary. I don't think I signed up for anything. Can I sneak in somewhere?
You're in the efficient group, yes, Eddie.
In the what?
Efficient water technologies.
Okay, that's cool. I was going to talk to John about the California where I've been working on water with Garcetti, and it's political, the pricing. It's crazy, but I'll talk to him privately. Okay, wherever I need to go.
Great. Okay. I think everyone should be assigned. If you do not find yourself in the group that you want, you can exit back to the large group and then make a request. Shayna will be here, as she has been, a great hostess. And then we'll be brought back together at 1/4 after to share the recap so everyone can hear how we created better water management through this time.